I'm not particularly bothered about Marvel. I know Marvel is exceptionally successful, that's an understatement, and a lot of people are obsessed, massive fans with Marvel films, and that's obviously amazing. But for me personally, I kind of dip in and out of them now and again. I much prefer DC, but I will always give a Marvel film a chance, and there are some that I really enjoyed. One of those is Ant-Man, the 2015 film, starring Paul Rudd. And I do think it was maybe Paul Rudd that drew me to this initially, but had I waited a bit longer to watch it, I think the reviews would have also pulled me in, because it's very well received. It's very funny. I know Marvel do comedy drama very well, even if it's not my cup of tea. Completely can see the quality in the productions, but this one really is actually very fun. So it's directed by Peyton Reed, written by Edgar, Wright and Joe Cornish, and stars, as I said, Paul Rudd, alongside a whole host of other great names, Michael Douglas, Evangeline Lilly. And for me, what works really well with this is just how ludicrously entertaining it is. And I don't want to spoil it too much, but I'll mention my favourite scene, but I won't say how it happened. So the description from IMDb, in case you haven't seen the film, is as follows. Armed with a supersuit with the astonishing ability to shrink in scale but increase in strength, cat burglar Scott Lang must embrace his inner hero and help his mentor, Dr. Hank Pym, plan and pull off a heist that will save the world. So that narrative itself doesn't really draw me in too much, the whole planning and pulling off a heist that will save the world. It's interesting. You can tell straight away that it's going to be very action-packed. There's going to be a lot in this narrative that's high intensity, and it feels like it would be a race against time. And that's true. That's exactly what it's delivered. I feel like the film is marketed very well, and what it says it will deliver is exactly what it delivers. And Marvel's very good at that. Marvel is, from the Marvels that I've seen and engaged with, they're good at doing what it says on the tin. What did draw me to this one particularly was the fact that Ant-Man, as he is, played by Paul Rudd, Scott Lang, is being shrunk down to the size of, ostensibly, an ant, but is exceptionally strong. And that I love. I love anything where somebody is shrunk in size. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the borrower. I suppose the borrower's not really shrunk in size, but I just love that concept. And I really hoped the execution would be brilliant. And honestly, it really is. From a cinematic perspective, it's incredible. I haven't actually looked into the background of how they filmed this, how much of it was CGI or camera trickery, or massive sets, I guess, in some occasions. But, it looks very realistic. It's very easy to believe that Ant-Man, or Scott Lang, has been shrunk down to size. And I think they did that very well, and they show it exceptionally well. It's great to follow Ant-Man's story. I wasn't sure it was going to end up. As I said, the whole narrative of the heist wasn't really something I was bothered about. And even when watching it, I was enjoying Ant-Man's character. I liked his personality. I liked the way he responded to certain situations. But the narrative itself, I wasn't that emotionally invested in. But Ant-Man as a character is brilliant. So if, for example, this had been the same narrative, but a different superhero, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. For me, this is very much driven by Ant-Man as a character, rather than being narrative-driven. Now, my favourite scene is actually one of my favourite scenes ever. This is the scene that involves Thomas the Tank Engine. Yes, Thomas in a Marvel film, I know. I refuse, in fact, to say anything more about that, because it's just such an entertaining scene, and I really loved it, and it just gave that film something a little bit more charismatic and a little bit more above and beyond what similar films from other studios would do. And it just made me laugh, and I watched that scene quite a lot. It's one of my favourite film scenes. So even though I'm not the biggest Marvel fan, when they present a good scene, I do latch onto it. That scene, and also I Am Groot, with the button, I Am Groot, from obviously Guardians of the Galaxy. Love it. So I do like Marvel when it appeals to my taste. Unfortunately, it just doesn't appeal to my taste that often, but that's perfectly fine. Ant-Man is brilliant. Isn't my favourite Marvel. Actually, I loved the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. One of those two is my favourite. But it is an absolutely fantastic film. If you're new to Marvel and you're not really sure where to get started, I'm sure diehard Marvel fans will have a much better answer for that than I would. But just personally, if you're looking for a fun film that you will definitely enjoy, I'd say Ant-Man is a safe one to go with. Paul Rudd's performance is brilliant. It's very well directed, very well put together, very well edited. Honestly, for me, it has to be one of Marvel's finest.